And as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and broke it and gave to the disciples and said, "Take, eat, this is my body." And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, "Take, drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the new covenant, which is shed for many for the forgiveness of sins. But I say to you that I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of this vine until the day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." And when they had sung a hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. And then said Jesus unto them, "All of you shall be offended because of me this night. For it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad. But after I am risen again, I will go before you into Galilee." And Peter answered and said unto him, "Though all men should be made to stumble because of you, yet I will never be made to stumble." Jesus said unto him, "Truly I say to you, that this night, before the rooster crows, you shall deny me 3 times. And Peter said unto him, "Though I should die with you, I will not deny you." Likewise also said all the disciples. And then came Jesus with them to a place called Gethsemane, and said unto the disciples, "You sit here while I go and pray over there." And he took with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. And then he said unto them, "My soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. You wait here and watch with me." And he went a little farther and fell on his face and prayed, saying, "O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will." And he came to the disciples and found them asleep, and said unto Peter, "What? Could you not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray that you do not enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." And when he went away again the second time, and prayed, saying, "O my Father, if this cup may not pass away from me, unless I drink it, thy will be done." And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. And he left them, and went away again, and prayed the 3rd time, saying the same words. And then he came to his disciples, and said unto them, "Sleep on now, and take your rest. Behold, the hour is at hand. The Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, and let us be going. Behold, he is at hand that does betray me." And while he yet spoke, lo, Judas, one of the 12, came, and with him great crowds with swords and clubs from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now he that betrayed him had given them a sign, saying, "Whosoever I shall kiss, that same is he. Hold him fast." And right away he came to Jesus and said, "Hail, Master," and kissed him. Father, bless these words. Be here with me. And right away Jesus said unto him, "Friend, from where have you come?" And then came they and laid their hands on him and took him. Father, draw those who need to hear your word. And behold, one of them, which was with Jesus, stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck a servant of the high priest and cut off his ear. And then said Jesus unto him, "Put up again your sword into its sheath. For all those that take the sword shall die with the sword. Do you not think that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels?"
Yes.
But how then shall the scriptures be fulfilled, that it must be this way? And that same hour said Jesus to the crowds, have you come out as against a thief with swords and clubs to take me? I was daily with you, teaching in the temple, and you laid no hold on me. But all this was done, that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled. And they all, the disciples, forsook him and ran. And they that laid hold on Jesus led him away to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were assembled. But Peter followed him afar off to the high priest's palace, and went in and sat with the servants to see the end. And the chief priests and the elders and all the council sought for witness against Jesus to put him to death. But they found none. Yea, many bore false witness, came, yet they found none. At last came forth 2 false witnesses, and they said, this fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and to build it in 3 days. And the high priest arose and said unto him, do you answer nothing? What it is, these testify against you. But Jesus held his peace. And the high priest answered and said to him, I adjure you by the living God, that you tell us whether you are the Christ, the Son of God. And Jesus said unto him, you have said. Nevertheless, I say to you, that hereafter you shall see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power, and coming in the clouds of heaven. Then the high priest tore his clothes, saying, he has spoken blasphemy. What further need do we have of witnesses? Behold, now you've heard the blasphemy. What think ye? And they answered and said, he is guilty of death. And then they did spit in his face, and buffeted him. And others struck him with the palms of their hands, saying, prophesy unto us, you Christ. Who is he that struck you? Now Peter sat outside in the palace, and a little girl came to him, saying, you also were with Jesus of Galilee. But he denied before them all, I know not what you say. And when he had gone out into the porch, another little girl saw him, and said to them that were there, this fellow was also with Jesus of Nazareth. And again he denied with an oath, I do not know the man. And after a while came unto him those that stood by, and said to Peter, surely you are one of them, for your speech betrays you. And he began to curse and to swear, saying, I know not the man. And immediately the rooster crowed. And Peter remembered the word of Jesus, which said unto him, before the rooster crows, you shall deny me 3 times. And he went out and wept bitterly. And when the morning had come, all the chief priests and the elders of the people took counsel against Jesus to put him to death. And when they had bound him, they led him away and delivered him unto Pontius Pilate, the governor. And then Judas, which betrayed him, when he saw that he was condemned, repented himself, and brought again the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and the elders, saying, I have sinned in that I have betrayed the innocent blood. And they said, what is that to us? You see to that. And he cast down the pieces of silver in the temple, and departed, and went and hanged himself. And the chief priest took the silver pieces, and said, it's not lawful to put them into the treasury, because it is the price of blood. And they took counsel together, and bought with them the potter's field to bury strangers in. Therefore that field is called the field of blood unto this day. And then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, and they took 30 pieces of silver, the price of him that was valued, whom they of the children of Israel did value, and gave them for the potter's field, as the Lord had appointed. And Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, are you the King of the Jews? And Jesus said unto him, you say it. And when he was accused of the chief priests and elders, he answered nothing. And then said Pilate unto them, do you not hear how many things they testify against you? And he answered him never a word. Insomuch, this is the crucifixion of Jesus, insomuch that the governor marveled greatly. Now at the feast the governor was wont to release unto the people a prisoner, whomsoever they would. And they had a notable prisoner called Barabbas. Therefore, when they had gathered together, Pilate said unto them, whom will ye that I release unto you, Barabbas or Jesus, which is called Christ? For they knew that for envy they had delivered him. And when he had sat down on the judgment seat, his wife sent unto him, saying, you have nothing to do with that just man. I've suffered many things this day in a dream because of him. But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowds that they should ask Barabbas and destroy Jesus. And the governor answered and said to them, which of the two will ye that I release unto you? And they said, Barabbas. Pilate said unto them, what shall I do then with Jesus, which is called Christ? And they all said unto him, let him be crucified. And the governor said, why? What evil has he done? But they cried out the more, saying, let him be crucified. And when Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing, but that rather a riot was made, he took water and washed his hands before the crowds, saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just person. You see to it. And then answered all the people and said, his blood be upon us and upon our children. And then he released Barabbas unto them. And when he had scourged Jesus, he delivered him to be crucified. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the common hall, and then gathered unto him the whole band of soldiers. And they stripped him, and they put on him a scarlet robe. And when they had twisted a crown of thorns, they put it upon his head, and a reed in his hand. And they bowed the knee before him, and mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews! And they did spit upon him, and took the reed, and struck him on the head. And after that they had mocked him, they took off the robe from off him, and put his own clothing on him, and led him away to crucify him. And as they came out, they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. Him they compelled to carry his cross. And when they had gone to the place called Golgotha, that is to say, the place of a skull, they gave him vinegar to drink, mingled with gall. And when he had tasted of it, he would not drink. And they crucified him, and divided his clothing, casting lots, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet. They divided my clothing among them, and upon my vesture did they cast lots. And sitting down they watched him there, and set over his head his accusation written, This is Jesus, the King of the Jews. And there were crucified with him 2 thieves, one on the right hand and another on the left. And those that passed by him reviled him, wagging their heads, and saying, You that destroy the temple and build it in 3 days. Save yourself. If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross. Likewise also the chief priests, mocking him with the scribes and elders, said, he saved others. Himself he cannot save. If he be the King of Israel, let him come down now from the cross, and we will believe him. He trusted in God. Let him deliver him now, if he will have him. For he said, I am the Son of God. The thieves also, which were crucified with him, cast the same in his teeth. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over all the land unto the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour, Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, which is to say, my God, why have you forsaken me? And some of them that stood by, when they heard it, said, this man calls for Elijah. And right away one ran and filled a sponge, filled it with vinegar, and put it on a reed and gave him to drink. The rest said, let be. Let us see whether Elijah will come and save him. And Jesus, when he had cried again with a loud voice, gave up the spirit. And behold, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from the top to the bottom. And the earth did quake, and the rocks rent. In the end of the Sabbath day, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and that other Mary to see the tomb. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for the angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came down and rolled back the stone from the door and sat upon it. And his appearance was like lightning, and his clothing as white as snow. And for fear of him did the keepers shake and became as dead men. And the angel answered and said unto the woman, do not fear. I know that you seek Jesus, which was crucified. He is not here, but he is risen, as he said. Come, see the place where the Lord lay, and go quickly and tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead. And behold, he goes before you into Galilee, and there you shall see him. Look, I have told you.
Thanks for spreading it, guys.